to this special edition of Alabama Adventures. And I say it's a special edition because you're going to hear something that's very seldom heard. I have been investigating Bigfoot for 44 years now, and I have never personally heard this. I have had a report from a lady in Randolph County, Alabama, that heard it in the fall of 1994. She contacted me and told me what she had heard, and when she told me her story, I knew she was telling the truth because a few months before that I had heard on a talk radio show that this sound is closely associated with Bigfoot, or at least it was back in the late 80s and on into the 90s. I haven't heard anybody mention it since 1994, so that would be about 20 years. And if somebody tells you, well, yeah, I hear it all the time, you just backhand them real good and tell them they're telling a lie, and you better watch them because if they lie about one thing, they'll lie about two. And I hadn't heard on any talk radio shows, I hadn't read any magazines or books or anything lately, I'm going to say in the past 20 years, about what you're fixing to hear. This may be the only time you ever hear it, and if you're a Bigfoot investigator, as we here at Alabama Bigfoot Society are, then you will certainly want to listen to this. We received this recording from our lead investigator in Tuscaloosa County one day last week, and we have just finished going over it. Dorothy has been working several days on it, and she just finished it tonight and has contacted me, and that's why we're in a hurry to get it on. We want everybody to hear this. Let me get my other eyes on so I can tell you about it. I have had to make notes. This is came up so quickly and everything to get prepared to do this special edition of Alabama Adventure, getting close to Bigfoot. Now, in the first booklet that I did on Bigfoot sightings, this is it. Bigfoot sightings of East Central Alabama. It covers 4 counties. And I did this book back in about 2000 was when I compiled this book together. But at that time, I had this lady to tell me what she had seen and what she had heard mostly. I'm going to tell you what you're going to hear. It sounds like an infant or a baby crying, but it is not a human child, and we don't know for sure if it's a Bigfoot infant or young Bigfoot, but I want to tell you what the lady told me because I have it documented in the book. And if you'd like a copy of this book, and I'll autograph it if you buy one off the website. We also have it for sale on eBay, and I'll be glad to personalize it to you and autograph it. But what had happened, it was a cool fall morning, and the lady was on her way to work, and she saw, it was around 7 o'clock in the morning, and she saw this Bigfoot. It was a foggy morning, but not real thick. It was just a foggy, normal fall morning. And she saw this Bigfoot walk across the road in front of her. Well, when she got to work, this was in the days before cell phones, she gave me a call and told me what she had seen, because she knew I was a paranormal investigator and very interested in Bigfoot even back in the 80s and 90s. Anyway, she told me what she'd seen. The Bigfoot had crossed the road in front of her. Later on that day, after she got off of work, she actually came by my house that afternoon, and this is what she said. I'll just read from the booklet. Then later that same morning, just before lunchtime, Marie, that's who I call the lady, her real name is on file. Marie and another employee at the farm heard what they thought was and sounded like a baby crying. The sound seemed to come from the woods directly across a pasture in front of her place of employment. 3 different times they went to the area where the crying seemed to be coming from. As soon as they could get near the place the sound came from, it would stop. This concerned them very badly, that a small child might be lost in the woods. Because of that, they searched the woods the better part of the afternoon. Much to their disappointment, they found nothing. Unknown to them at the time, this sound, the sound of a baby crying, is associated with and has been heard before in areas where Bigfoot were thought to be present. Although it sounds like a child, it is louder than a human child's crying would be. This was also reported by Marie and others who heard the sound, that it was actually louder, and that's what you're going to be able to tell on this recording, that the sound of this baby crying that we have is actually louder than what a normal child would be. Now, let me get on to this recording that you're about to hear. In the recording, you'll hear Dorothy will take over narrating it, and in the recording, you're going to hear the baby crying a couple or so times. Then, as every time you need to hear something, you're going to hear a dog go to barking. There's always a dog around whenever you're trying to record something or listen to something, and that you can actually tell. And the investigator also said that the dog got off of her porch and took off running toward the woods where this sound was coming from. Then you're going to be able to hear just a few seconds later, after the dog really begins barking, that it sounds like the dog gets hit, because it makes a yelp sound, like as if something hit it. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened when it got down pretty close to this Bigfoot, that either this Bigfoot or another Bigfoot probably backhanded it real good. And she said as soon as the dog got hit, you won't hear him barking anymore. That hit or slap or whatever quietened him down, kind of put him in his place, I guess. She said the dog returned to the porch, sat down, didn't make another sound, and didn't get off the porch the rest of the night. So be listening for that. Now, there are several possibilities as to what this sound could be. The sound could be just used as a communication between Bigfoot. It could just be another way they have to communicate. It could be a cry for help or something like that. It could possibly be a young Bigfoot crying, or one perhaps that's got lost, and this is the way that their parents can zero back in on it to find it. It could also be a female Sasquatch giving birth. There are just several possibilities to what this could be. Probably, though, if she was giving birth, she would be hollering more than this. But if you will notice, Bigfoot is part animal. I know it's part human, but it's also part animal. But if you will notice, most animals don't make any sound whenever they're giving birth. Very little sound do you hear from, like a dog or anything like that, a horse or anything, when it begins to give birth. They just, I guess they just know how to endure the pain and live with it. But right now, let's go on to the editing room with Dorothy. She will take over this Bigfoot baby crying sound that you're about to hear.
Hi, this is Dorothy with the Alabama Bigfoot Society. We have recently been evaluating a videotape that was sent to us by our field investigator in Tuscaloosa County. The recording was made in the North River area, just a few miles from the Deer Lick Creek campground, where we held our first joint Alabama Bigfoot Society Bigfooting in Alabama retreat. This recording was made a few weeks ago from an upstairs bathroom window of MK's home, which overlooks a field behind her house. It appears to be the cries of a young Bigfoot, possibly a newborn crying for its mother. First, we'll hear the audio in its original state. Now let's listen to the amplified version. I only amplified the audio. No other changes have been made. There is background noise, and I assume that the television was playing from her bedroom, but you can clearly hear the cries of this creature.
Okay, well, there you have it. You have heard something very rare, something that you may never hear again. And as I said, for 44 years, I have never heard it, and I have investigated Bigfoot practically every day. And feel that our lead investigator in Tuscaloosa County, who would still like to remain anonymous at this time, she should be very proud that what she has managed to get on audio. Anyway, once again, I'd like to remind you that the Alabama Bigfoot Society, all its investigations, all its work, travel, are all out of pocket expenses. And if you can see, or if you would like to give a donation to the Alabama Bigfoot Society to where we can keep doing what we're doing here, check our website, alabamabigfootsociety.com. You'll find a place on there where you can make a donation. Not only would we appreciate monetary donations, which we need very bad, we would also, any type of equipment or something like that that you have to donate, we would be very proud to get that. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this special edition of Alabama Adventures Getting Close to Bigfoot, and we'll be looking for you next time on the next Alabama Adventure.